What up, what up, what up, everybody? Welcome to the Hungar Show. Good to see you. Ain't been on for a while, not been feeling well. I am not going to be having my camera on a lot. I'm getting some blood work done and stuff right now, so I'm not actually at home. Shadow, my brother from another mother, I'm going to have you take it over for a few seconds.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Great to see you guys. I was just hanging out with DM Bloodworth. Hate, stepping on other people's toes, but it's Hungar. I could not hesitate to click the adios buttons. Hope you guys are all having a great day. It's just about the weekend. We're kind of pumped for a nice, fresh new weekend. The weather's taking a turn for the better. We're actually looking at 50s and 60-degree weather here. My son's going to get to go back to school on his bike. He can't wait for that. And personally, I am so over the cold weather. I can't even, put it into words. Done with the firewood, the freezing my butt off every time I go outside. I know a lot of you guys still have, colder weather here in the States and elsewhere, but it's almost that time. It's almost Valentine's Day. We're still in the middle of the beginnings, I guess, of the new year, and I don't know about you guys, but I am pretty excited about all kinds of new stuff for this brand spanking new year. Been doing a lot of crafting with the boy, and got a lot of games on tap. I've got Vigilante City with Bloodworth, AD&D with Bloodworth, GURPS with Bo Paints Minis. Sunday, I'm playing Traveler with Rick over on 28 millimeter RPG. Can't wait for that one as well. And hopefully, if the big guy to my left or right, depending on your perspective, is gonna stay out of the hospital for a while, we can start the AD&D campaign that I'm gonna be running. It's gonna be a high seas adventure. We're gonna have great gamers like Bo and Hungar, maybe even Max from Legion of Myth. Who else is signed up? Fritz is going to be playing a thief, possibly Iron Man, because I'm looking at maybe playing it on Saturdays. And there's a couple other people. Cal, I'm hoping will join us. And it's going to be the game I've always wanted to play in, but no DM really that I know of really wants to do a full on nautical high seas, adventure full of all the typical tropes of mermaids and pirates and ghost ships and sunken treasure and undersea temples and strange mysterious desert islands with ancient temples, lizard men, the whole shebang. So
I hate
if
lizard men.
you
I
hate
hate
them,
lizard men. I hate sturges because neither one of them show up on infravision. So if you're like in the dark and you're relying on your elf or dwarf to help you out and you run up against some lizard men, you're just blind. They're going to get you. They're going to bite you in the butt.
and bullywugs. Don't forget your brother's favorite. He really loves the bullywugs.
Oh, I
I've
hate those
never
too.
actually I have never actually used them on a player group, but I'm thinking, you know what? I got just the place on my nifty map that I've been drawing up for a while now. But yeah, I'm just gonna run the hell out of all the tropes, and there's gonna be cannons and sea monsters and all the buried treasure and all the stuff that I've always wanted to see in a D&D game or a fantasy game. I never get over my love for books like Voyage of the Dawn Treader from the Narnia saga, Treasure Island, of course, and even Pirates of Darkwater. If you guys remember the old cartoon, I used to be friends with one of the voice actors from that cartoon that never got enough love, and of course was canceled after I think just one season. But I'm just gonna vicariously enjoy the heck out of it. Hopefully, it'll run a full year, if not longer, depending on you know, life getting in the way and that sort of thing. But I'm really looking forward to running that, and all the other games that I just mentioned, getting to play in. With all the stuff that's been going on, I can't think of a better excuse or a better reason to go out there and play some new games. I picked up a couple of new games recently. Vintage Future RPG from Total Party Skills. I picked up an original copy of Deadlands, because the boy and I were all about, the weird Wild West and Shadows of Brimstone. I even picked up a copy of a book recommended to me from Omen Owl, not knowing who the company was, but seeing how it was written and printed in 2018. I'm gonna give it a slide, but that would be Scum and Villainy by those guys that make a bunch of woke crap. But I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Take a look at it. The artwork is it's black and white, so I like it, but there's some things in it that I've already noticed that I'm like, really, come on, guys. But I always say you really can't judge a book until you've read it, or a game until you've played it. I don't know that I'm actually going to play it because I am running a Traveler campaign this year as well. Actually, a one-shot Traveler game for Table Breakers sometime in May, I believe. It's just going to be a one-shot, two-night game like the Exalted game we just played, but it's going to be a carryover from Jade's game, so the same characters are going to get to play again, because I don't know about you guys, but one shots for me are kind of disappointing, because I never want to just play a game once and then shelve it. I kind of always want to play a campaign if I can, as many games as we can milk out of any particular product. And so hopefully maybe the guys will want to continue playing those characters, or maybe they'll get some sort of conclusive, sort of happy ending at the end of the one shot, or maybe I'll get to run a campaign with them. You never know what could happen. I had fun with Exalted. Then if Baron said, "Hey, I'm gonna continue the game. You want in?" I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" What's the worst that could happen, right? Live and learn. Play as many games as you can. I don't know about you guys, but like Omen Owl, I don't know if you're watching this or if you watch it later. He and I have got massive collections of games, as does Legion of Myth and a lot of you other guys. My collection of games is, despite what I told myself at the beginning of the year, I've already picked up like 4 new games, and I've got 300 plus games I want to get to. So hopefully, like I said at the beginning, this will be a year of lots of games, lots of new games, lots of new experiences, lots of new interactions with new friends and old, playing it just as much as you could possibly squeeze into this year. If you're watching this show, then you're a gamer, or I don't know what you're doing with your life, right, James? And I don't know how you found this channel, other than my son and I wearing our Hungar shirts and our Hungar pins from is it Teesprings? I forget. Just know that if you buy the pins, they're about this big, and people are gonna have to be like looking real close at you to figure out what pin that is on your jacket or your hat. But the T-shirts, love them. Little guy's already worn his to school and got all kinds of weird looks. Who's that old guy with the fro? Especially considering where he goes to school. Um, it probably comes off a little unusual. I mean, you've seen the boy with the you're killing me, man. You've seen my, excuse me, God. Maybe I'll quit smoking this year. Who am I kidding? That's not going to happen. If you've seen my son,
no one likes a quitter, Shadow.
Pardon?
No one likes a quitter.
I know. Quitting's for the birds. If you've seen my son, he likes to dress up, pretty sharp and snazzy. He's wearing his boater hat to school just about every day, or some other, suit and tie kind of thing. And I'm like, I can only imagine, if a kid went to my school back in the day dressed like that, the kind of, razzing and teasing he might have received. And yet he's standing up tall, not afraid of anything, between, his fancy dress and his uniform. He's got to stand out how he hasn't, racked up a couple of girlfriends. Oh, wait, he has kind of. over the course of his first year in high school. Just like his old man, couldn't be more proud. But yet he won't talk about it. He kind of had like a girlfriend, but it was her idea. She said, "You're my boyfriend now," and I'm like, "Oh, that's nothing but trouble, right, guys?"
Okay,
Um,
I'm not here to stay, everybody. I'm just getting blood work and stuff done today. I am going home.
you better. I will walk to Florida and kick your ass out of the dang hospital if I have to.
Well,
I can't run.
sometimes I need to get some electrolytes put in me, and they gotta check my blood from GI bleeds and stuff like that. Sometimes I gotta get blood. Shit happens, but I
Dude,
already told
dude,
them.
whatever it takes, man. We just want you well and healthy and rolling some damn dice, even if we don't actually get to game with you right away. I know you and your bro get to play as often as possible, and I can't even begin to tell you how jealous I am of you.
Yeah,
My
next
little
time I see
brother.
my bro, we're gonna play some 30K. I'm gonna have to like smack his little blood angels around.
You and your brother are or were a lot like my little brother and I. Unfortunately, my little brother's doing 400 years in Montana State, and I'll never see him again. Haven't seen him in decades. And he and I used to actually game, you know, a bit, and I, you know, whenever I see you two guys, I think about, how his life could have turned out better if he'd have just played some more games and stayed away from the other stuff that he got wrapped up in. And you two are, incredibly lucky to get to, have shared all this hobby, all these experiences together. And I really, I'm not alone, hoping that we'll get to see more of that from you guys. Uh, just tear that crap off.
I do what
You know,
I want. See, my shirt even says it. I do what
that's
I want.
but it's not Cartman, man.
No, it's a cat pushing over a mug.
Yeah, that'll work. But you got to admit, Cartman would be a little bit more.
Whatever, whatever. I do what. Well, I'm wearing South Park socks.
Hey, that'll work. I mean, kind of weird trying to
Never
show them
leave home
off, but
without it.
yeah, Fritz, who's doing a show this morning too, along with freaking Bloodworth. I'm like, holy crap, Bloodworth, Fritz, which way? Hongard, no brainer. Dropped out of Bloodworth's stream this morning, even though I'm in two of his games. I hope he doesn't mind. I hope he understands that, you know,
Well, I
you
appreciate
know.
it. You didn't have to jump over here if you
Oh,
didn't
you
want to.
you know damn well I had to. I mean, it's literally in my DNA. Hungar's on. I'm gonna be on, hanging out with my bro. Not that
Well,
Bloodworth and Fritz aren't bros as well,
yes.
but I can talk to those guys any old day. I was just with Bloodworth Tuesday night playing AD&D. A lot of fun. Playing Vigilante City with him on Tuesday mornings, which is also a lot of fun. If you guys don't know, I'm kind of a big fan of superhero games, but I am not a big fan of Marvel or DC comics for the last, more than 10 years. I really just haven't been into it. The Iron Man movie and a couple of the early Marvel
Did you
movies were
guys just
great.
see that? That was horrible.
She was not that. Come on, she was cute.
Yeah, she just stuck a thing up my nostril.
Anything for comedy.
It's just a COVID test, I'm sure. It's not actually infecting you with COVID, or maybe it did. I don't know.
Made my eyes
Pfizer
water.
wants their money, so
The horror. The
you know
horror.
what? You know what? I have yet to take a COVID test. I have yet to get COVID. I am of the mind that smoking has kept it away from my
I've
my
had
my
COVID twice.
inside.
I've had COVID twice. And this last time I had COVID, I was in the hospital and they kept on coming in asking me what I wanted to eat. And I tell them, I can't taste it. I don't care. Bring me
I've had
anything.
this to keep COVID away, and it's worked out just fine for me. The wife had COVID about 6 months ago. The boy got the sniffles but tested negative. She was in the house for 2 weeks, just suffering and just you know not quarantining herself upstairs like she could have, but just walking around thinking a mask was going to protect us. And you know what? We didn't get it. We just did not get it. During the entire last 2 years, I was going to the grocery store and doing all kinds of things. No mask, no shots, no nothing, and no COVID. And knock on wood, I'm gonna keep not having COVID. I'm not, you know,
All
I'm
right,
not
I
getting
want
it.
to touch on this right here, what the Crafting Gamer said. And welcome to the show, everybody. Michael, the Crafting Gamer, Malene, it's good to see all of y'all. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it certainly does. If you ever played what was that game? God, there was a video game back in the day that was like that. God, I can't remember it, but it
No,
was
I've
for
never even heard of anything like that. That sounds cool.
there was a right. I forget the video. There's actually, I think, two of them, but you literally flew around in a sailing ship and did all kinds of cool stuff. It was, a role playing game from
Yeah,
the
Space Jam.
90s.
I remember Space Jam or whatever the hell. I didn't.
Spelljammer. No,
Yeah,
this was a video game. This was an
I was
actual video
never
game.
into Spelljammer, but
I can get into Spelljammer. I've run it. I'll run it again. I might even use some elements of it in the nautical game I'm running because there may be a reason to go to the moon or something like that. Um, there was a story I read as a kid. I want to say it was Jason and the Argonauts, but maybe not. Where they were on a sailing ship. It was like Bronze Era, but they were fighting like asparagus men and other vegetable people. It was just wacky, but it was actually a school book.
Skies
Skies
of
of Arcadia.
Arcadia.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Well,
But there was another one
I
too.
remember the old novels where they had like the blimps and stuff going up to the moon, and those were pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, I may use elements of that. I know at least the bad guys have some flying vessels, even though everybody else is, using sailing, ships. Spoiler, you don't know that yet, Hungar, but you'll find it out soon enough. But yeah, I even made some floating island terrain once upon a time, and I'm going to teach the boy how to do that again for some of our man of war type of games, and maybe even for the D&D game. As you can see right up here, oh, maybe you can't see it. Hold on, let me bring that down.
I know my ex-wife's husband, he ran a game where they were on like sky ships for her and their group, and it was really interesting. I've always been in, like, I like to think that's badass. I like to think that if I was back in the day, I would have been like a sailor.
Yep, me too. And I've even got some Bronze Age John Carter-esque miniatures on this little bad boy. I wish they would have made a bigger one, but with 3D printing, Wizards of the Coast won't be getting any more of my money. So 3D printing is going to be the way to go for the foreseeable future. When it comes to larger things like that, for my tabletop, I will probably buy some of the WizKids miniatures from other sources because, the miniatures don't have words. They don't try to,
I look at it
promote
this way: if you want to buy something from the company that you don't like, buy it secondhand.
Right. That's how I get everything, either through Miniature Market or eBay, and help a brother or sister out trying to get rid of the merchandise they have in their store or their collection or whatever they're trying to get rid of. Not a problem. Miniatures aren't promoting this woke ideology or the divisiveness that the main company is. I'm not buying the wheelchair miniatures. Both my parents were in wheelchairs, and trust me, they would and did always play when they played. My mom played RPGs. They were not going to play somebody in a wheelchair. My mom
What
played
have I said?
Paladin.
What have I said a dozen times? As somebody who was stuck in a wheelchair for 6 months, if I'd have ended up having to stay in that wheelchair, I definitely would not have played a character in a wheelchair.
Nope. It's just absolutely. It's literally quite insane if you think about it. You know, that would be like an amputee always wanting to play a guy with a hook for a hand. You damn Skippy, he would not be wanting that.
I
And if
tell you
you
what,
offered them a chance for some sort of regrowing the hand or leg, or any sort of healing to fix you, they would jump on that and with no
I tell you
brainer.
what, as a person with only 9 toes and hardly any intestines, all of my RPG characters, all of the characters that I play, have not had any stomach surgeries and have all their toes.
Exactly. It's just this weird sort of insanity
It's
that
escapism, not realism. You know what I mean? It's like
well, yeah,
Max
but
says.
it's really actually kind of unhealthy if you think about it, on so many levels, to think that my character has to suffer from the same crap I do. It doesn't work the opposite. You don't suddenly take damage when your character's getting hurt in a game. Why would you want to hurt your character? Because you're suffering from something. It
It
just
makes
doesn't
no
make
sense.
any sense. It really doesn't. I would have some words for these people. If they were to come to my table and say, "Yeah, I want to be in a wheelchair," I'd be like, "Yeah, there's the door." But
Well,
before you
if they
go,
had a good
just clear
reason they
things
wanted
up.
to be in a wheelchair, an artificer in a wheelchair, that's the only way I think it would work. Have a wheelchair that's automatic, like electric wheelchair with freaking automatic
Like,
crossbows on each on the bad boy. That would be kind of cool. Where the wheelchair could sprout legs and climb down stairs and stuff. But
sure,
if
but
some if somebody came up with a really, really, really good story, I might let them do it. I'm more likely to let somebody in a wheelchair play a character in a wheelchair in my game than I am to let them play a druid in my game, because druids are evil and they stay in their forest.
um,
Druids give zero shits about normal people. They want
that
animals and trees.
you know what? I've seen too many people play druids really well to
I've
go
seen too
down
many
that
people
rabbit
play
hole.
druids very badly.
Right, right. And I've heard a lot of horror stories about that, but I'm pretty sure Bo or Max want to run a druid, and on a high seas campaign with all the weather prediction and the other all the natural abilities that. Hey, what's up, Sean?
John,
A
what's up,
druid
my
could be
brother?
Hello,
a
hello.
druid could actually be really not just handy and helpful, but incredibly interesting on a long-term sailing adventure. All the things that they could, potentially do to help out the crew and party of the ship. That I'm looking forward to seeing that. So what's up, Sean? How the hell are you doing?
I'm okay. Saw you live. Figured I'd pop in.
You
Got
know
a.
you're always welcome, buddy.
I appreciate that. It's always great to feel welcome and feel included.
Yeah,
Not like I was when I was 13 playing D&D.
Yeah, it's like I don't get all of this BS about D&D needs to be more inclusive, because I've never walked up to a D&D game in a library, at a freaking comic shop or whatever, where everybody's like, "Hey, you want to play?" Complete strangers. You walk up, they're playing D&D. You say, "Hey, how's it going? What are you guys doing?" "Oh, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons." "Want to play?"
When I was a kid, it was like anybody who even showed the slightest interest. Yeah, come play with us. Come.
Exactly. It didn't
No,
matter. Anything.
the whole rewriting of history when we're all still here is just again, it's a form of insanity, in my opinion. I just don't get how these people think that they're gonna pull this crap off, other than just sheer numbers of morons out there willing to buy into this fake oppression and this. I mean, this country is one of the most inclusive countries of all times.
I keep on thinking about Monty Python. Help, help, I'm being oppressed. Can't see the inherent violence of the system.
No country out there is perfect,
The
but
patriarchy.
you know what? I'm sick of that crap too. That was one of the things I didn't like with the artwork of Scum and Villainy, is it's almost exclusively females in all the art, and if there are males, they kind of it's like almost intentionally drew them like
I mean, if you want to
inferior
all inclusive,
somehow. It's like,
if you want a game that
shut
doesn't
up.
have any of that stuff in it, just play Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Yeah, that's the other product that Evil Hat put out that when I saw it was an Evil Hat game, I'm like, oh man, what the hell, man? You recommended this, and this is what I'm getting, but I'm gonna give it a chance. It looks like it's got some interesting ideas,
Here's
but
a question
you know,
for Sean right here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Figure out how to do it properly. One thing I can figure out is swings per round and weapon speed. Okay. Well, let's start with weapon speed. Weapon speed is situational. You don't use it at all times. It only comes up when it's a weapon versus a spellcaster, because you got to compare casting time versus weapon speed, or if it's a tied situation with two characters using weapon speed weapons. So the big advantage there is if you have a weapon that's twice as fast as your opponent, you get a free shot, right? Otherwise, you simply go first if you have the faster weapon.
right.
How do you have a weapon with a speed of 11, more than one swing around? If you're talking about the speed factor, then it comes up when there's a tie. So if the faster weapon is twice as fast as the slower weapon, they get one free round. They get one free attack. There's some debate about it, whether it's a free attack or something, but I'll get into that later. If it's the weapon speed of 11 or more against a weapon that's a 10-point difference, you actually get two free attacks. You get the first attack prior, then you get your normal attack, and then after the slow weapon goes, you get your third attack. But this only happens in the case of a tied initiative when you're already engaged in melee. Does that make sense? Was that clear?
That's what you get. That's what you get on Hungar Show. You're going to hear a bunch of BS that don't mean nothing, and then you're going to get some serious questions answered by somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about.
Okay, Don, how about this one? Do you actually use the weapon versus armor table?
Absolutely, 100%. It creates such a variety for fighters. Like the fact that fighters get 4 WPs means they can spread their weapon selection out. We've had situations where your characters are fighting a heavily armored enemy, and their chosen weapons are something like -4, -5 to strike, and suddenly the fighter's like, oh well, I'll bring out this weapon, gives me plus to strike against this armor. So yeah, I love it. It's added one extra calculation, so it's not like it's going to slow down the game.
Okay, follow-up question: do you know where to get one of the wheels?
No. I think you can get them online. You can probably find somebody's got a template to make them online. I never use them. I provide my players with character sheets that have the weapon type versus AC on the weapon section, so they can just fill it in, so they have it right there in front of them.
See, and that's pretty cool. If you're going to be running things like that,
yeah, I will. I can send you the PDF if you have a. Well, we're both on a same Discord. I think both on Geeks. I'll find you on Discord and I'll send you a PDF.
Okay, appreciate
yeah,
it.
if you're going to be running games that have all that stuff in it, I always find it best to have the character sheet include the info, so the players.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just makes the game run a lot better.
Which, to this day, I don't understand how it's so hard for people to deal with. I get the Ascending Armor class is a little bit faster, but considering that they took out the weapon speed and the weapon versus armor, I mean, come on, I keep joking, what's next? We're just going to use coins, flip heads you win, tails you lose kind of thing.
THAC0 is not that hard.
No, THAC0 is pretty easy. I mean, I don't begrudge people who like the ascending system. I just hate it when people start going on about, oh, THAC0 has to be erased from history. And I'm like, what? It's the same math. You're just coming to a different conclusion. Sorry, I wanted to go back to Michael Stronghold's question about multiple attacks. Something I did want to note is in first edition, if you have to separate multiple attacks versus multiple attack routines. Is First Ed defines attacks as attack routines. So if you're a fighter and you're using 2 weapons, both of those attacks are considered one routine. And if you're fighting a ghoul has claw, bite, that's one routine. Now that's important because fighters get multiple attack routines. So a high level fighter, when you get 3 attacks per 2 rounds or your 2 attacks per round, those are attack routines. And what that means, if you have more attack routines than your opponent, you actually get initiative. So if you're a fighter with 2 attack routines and you're fighting a guy with only 1, even regardless of the initiative roll, you're going to go first.
Right, just
So-
to keep it
Well,
less complicated.
Well, it keeps it less complicated, but the trick comes in when we're talking about weapon speeds and tied initiative. The weapon speed and all that only matters when the routines overlap. So if I'm a fighter with 2 attack routines and you've only got the 1, I'm going first. Weapon speed is immaterial.
Yeah,
But-
you go first, then they go, and then you go again.
Right. But let's say I have 3 attack routines. Then the middle attack routine is going to overlap with what the opponent's 1 attack routine. So I'll get my first attack routine. Initiative will determine when the second attack routine goes, and then I will get my third. So you can like, if you have a fast weapon and 3 attack routines, you can really wreck a slow enemy because you can turn those 3 attacks into 5 or 6 attacks. It's not a common situation, but it does come up.
Right, you have to be
It's not
pretty
that
high
hard
level.
to figure out.
Yeah. Well, fighters also get 1 attack routine per level of experience against creatures with less than a full hit die. That's
Right,
when it'll come up the most.
goblins and kobolds and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
And then by certain levels, you should kind of not really be running into goblins and kobolds anymore. It's just kind of
Oh, absolutely. You come across greater numbers.
well, you could go that route, but I mean, if you're like 9th level, you really should be focusing on more interesting monsters, in my opinion. It just I kind of have this unwritten rule that for the most part, you're only going to run into a certain kind of monster once, and then we're going to move on. Okay, low levels, maybe a dungeon or 2 that's got goblins and kobolds and other super low hit die, half hit die monsters. But once you start getting to 3rd and 4th and up, you're only going to run into mind flayers like once, unless it's going to be a theme. You'll run into 1 beholder or 1 encounter with beholders. I don't want the monsters just keep making appearances of the same monster when there's so many to choose from, especially with new players. I really want to keep them on their toes and show them the full catalog of monsters, the whole monster manual. My favorites, there's things I never use, but I want to give them a huge variety of different things to, like I said, keep them on their toes and just show off what's out there.
Sorry,
If
go
we're
on.
hanging out and you throw out down a Tarask, I'm just going to be like, nope.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the sentiment. I like to keep a consistent sort of world building. So if goblins are common, you're still going to commonly encounter them even at high levels, but your interactions will definitely be different. And high level characters are definitely capable of taking on hordes of goblins. My current first ed group, Team Good, as I call it, because I recap the Night Below group. That's Team Evil on my channel, but Team Good, they're hunting kobolds, and they literally invaded a stronghold with about 50 kobolds. But they had a 4th level fighter, dwarf fighter. They had 3rd level paladin, and some other characters, and they were seeing the effects of that multiple attacks. They were going in and they're just wiping the floor with hordes of kobolds. And it's like, yes, this is a good rule. And then when the kobolds surrendered because they were getting their butts handed to them, they entered into the parley and the negotiations, and they took some prisoners. The paladin suddenly realized, wait, I can't just execute them, can I? Because they're surrendered.
If the paladin, I hate when people try to treat the paladin like he's a moron. And the paladin's like, well, I'll turn my back if I don't see it. It didn't happen. It happened. If you don't pay attention to it.
Oh yeah. No.
Then you know what? Guess what? You're going to lose some paladin level, and you're going to become a fighter.
In this case, when I have for paladins and rangers, I've actually printed up the oath that they have to follow, so the players have it in front of them. So they're referring to it because they don't want to lose their status. And one of the parts of the oath is to offer mercy even to the unmerciful. So that's where the player was thinking, okay, does this count, or can I summarily execute these people? And so they were thinking about the context of the game. So
no, you can't just summarily execute the people.
Well, you can if you have the lawful authority to do so, and it's right?
Yeah,
So it's all context. But in this
like
case,
if you catch some, bandits who've been murdering travelers and stealing their stuff, and they're wanted, dead or alive, and you run across them, yeah, freaking put them to the sword. But kobolds being kobolds and goblins being goblins, if they surrender, they're like, yeah, please don't kill me. Nah, nah, nah. I don't think that the player should just freaking kill them.
I simply adjudicate.
That-
I don't have a thought one way or the other because it has to be based on the situation. So yeah, absolutely. But there's still a code of honor, and a code of honor, a virtue must be absolute or it's meaningless. So, and we get players, playing the paladin. It's like, well, no, I can lie to evil creatures. Well, no, you can't. You have to remain virtuous.
Yep. You absolutely have to. That's the whole thing, is to lead by example. Even though the paladin knows or might suspect that this is a bad idea, I still have to, show mercy or some of the other virtues, even though tactically or whatever, it's probably going to bite you in the ass. But I think it all comes down to that one time. What if it actually works? What if you were to be able to convince this tribe of goblins or orcs or whatever that goodness is the way to go? I mean, especially for those people who want to play later editions where you can play a goblin, or games where you could play a goblin or a kobold or an orc. Maybe that's how it started. Was long ago, a paladin showed mercy, and that changed, the whole dichotomy, the whole, dynamic of their.
That's great world building. Yeah, that's good world building. Like I'm a proponent. Well, I wouldn't say proponent, but I use the default alignments, right? But people say, well, not all creatures are inherently evil. It's like, no, I agree with that. But the alignments put in the monster manual are the default for the race. Yeah, it doesn't mean you can't go beyond. You can't have that occasional kobold who gets expelled from the tribe because they're good. You just gotta. Yeah,
I would have to argue with that. Orcs are inherently evil. You're going to have that one oddball orc that might not be evil, but orcs are inherently evil.
Yeah, they're the outlier. That's the point, is that the non-lawful evil orc is the outlier. Their general society is lawful evil, or in first ed at least. I think they're chaotic.
They're chaotic evil, and the other editions, and hobgoblins are like the lawful.
Yeah, in 1E, the both of them are lawful evil, but whatever. That is the default. That is the standard. It's like humanity. People don't think about the standard alignment for humans is true neutral.
Yeah,
right.
I would even say they're freaking more like chaotic neutral or chaotic good. They're just trying to survive the 99% of humanity.
90%, and then it's the goods and the evils who are the outliers.
And you get the oddballs.
So that's what's great about the game is you can you don't have to marry yourself to what's written. You can change it, and there's plenty of justification. And the idea, do we offer mercy to the evil races question is, it's not one that I will give an answer to the players. It's like, this is for you to figure out. And what's beautiful is when the paladin says, no, we will offer mercy. Go, don't let us see you here again. And then the other characters going, what are you doing? Kill them.
Well, normally in any game I've ran where there's been a paladin, the paladin's always the group leader anyway.
You would think, that should be kind of a given, but lately I found that there are so many people out there just wanting to run, basically the scum of the earth as their characters. It's like you really gotta really vet your players, and if there's a paladin, having thieves or chaotic neutral characters in the party, you never read that in the old classic stories.
I played a thief. I played a thief in a campaign where there was a pally, and it worked out fine because I wasn't out robbing people and stuff. I used my skills for detecting traps, finding secret doors, and stuff like that. I was
Well, that's
more
because you're
like,
a decent human being, Hungar. I'm talking
yeah,
about the people out there that are
oh yeah,
using the game as
to
sort
be
of a
evil.
way
Yeah,
to
I'm going to be
enact
running
their.
that. I'm going to be running that evil campaign where everybody's going to be drows, and just to see how that goes. I don't expect it to last very long.
I am an agent of the matron mother. You will not cross me.
Yeah.
No,
Having
just
run
went me.
a 25-year-long evil campaign for the same group, I can attest to a lot of times it's nothing more than an excuse to live out some darker nastiness that I really don't want to be a part of. But it worked out in the end. The party, without my you know demanding it or even asking for it, realized that, hey, you know what, this this empire we're trying to run, we kind of actually need to be good to make it work, or it's just gonna collapse in on itself. And that was kind of rewarding, as a DM. They learned their lesson. It took 25 years, but they did learn the lesson, and it made it all worthwhile. There was an actual story arc. They did seek out, you know, redemption instead of just, being murder hobos their entire lives.
I love it when I have a table of players who take nothing personally, who can just play the roles, and even when they're conflicting with one another, can just play it and see what develops. That's when it's really really satisfying, because then you're just watching everything unfold, and as a DM, you're also surprised. I allow evil players, but my one group is mostly evil, but they know each other, so they can meddle with each other. There was it's actually going to be the next episode of Night Below. I'm working on it. Is the characters, the mass betrayal happened, and there were lots of deaths. Evil collapsed in on itself. So some funny results. Everybody was howling with laughter, just the way it went down.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of playing with a regular group that, like with my group, we grew up together, doing all kinds of not gaming things together, whether it was paintball or watching a game on TV or going to the movies or attending weddings and funerals and, the births of children and things like that. We can get away with stuff that some of the newer generations just they can't.
Yeah,
They can't bond.
the Night Below game. Two of the players in the Night Below game are people I've known since high school. So it's it's not something like I grabbed a random player off the street and said, "Hey, you're playing this game with me."
Right.
The group I'm playing with tomorrow, the Team Good, as it were, they're all like, I've known them for about 10, 15 years, but most of them have been playing together for 30. Right? They've known each other a long time. So it's like there's that camaraderie. But I know for that group, I would never introduce they wouldn't do player versus player, right? And anybody coming into guest in that group, it's like, okay, this is a dynamic where it's verboten. Nobody will appreciate it. So don't even think about it. Intercharacter conflict to a degree, yes. You can certainly disagree with them and argue, but you're not pulling out your sword and attacking another PC in this group.
Yeah. Or trying to slip a Mickey or something like that. I don't know if it comes from that, trying to win mentality, or, trying to torpedo the game, or just being bored, or, something else.
Sometimes you get bad players, Shadow, and you just have to ask them politely to find another game, to find another group. And if they don't take it politely, then you say, "Hey, get the hell out of my game."
Sure, absolutely. I've been there before. I just have to wonder about the motivation behind some of the actions. You know what I mean? Because there is no reason why everybody can't come to the table and have an enjoyable experience just based on the love of the hobby alone, if nothing else.
Yeah,
The love
if
of
you're
the
going to play
game.
the game, you can't let a player at your game disrupt the game for everybody else. You got to remember that there's more than one person there. Everybody's trying to have fun, and you get that one person who's trying to be like a douche nozzle. You
Mhm.
just can't let
And,
them.
and if there is a problem, how do you guys deal with it?
Hey, man, I think you should find a different game.
No, no warning, no, you
Oh, I
know,
tell them, I
fully-
tell them at the table if they're acting up. I tell them they need to straighten up. I'd be like, hey, you're disrupting the game. Everybody's trying to have fun. You're making it miserable. You're not going to be able to come over here and play the game if you're going to make it bad for everybody. And they get a warning. And if they continue to do that, it's like, well,
Right.
sorry, you're not allowed at the game no more. I mean, you're my bro and everything, but until you learn how to not be disruptive, until you learn how to play the game and have fun with everybody else, then you're just not welcome to play the game. Feel free to run your own game and see how you like it.
That's basically just a polite conversation, unless they're being disrespectful. In which
Polite
case,
but fun.
yeah.
Always be polite. Always like Patrick Swayze, the great Patrick Swayze said in the Awesome
Be
Movie
nice.
Roadhouse.
Be
Be
nice.
polite. Be nice. Why did they call your mom this? Is she? Be nice.
Nice. I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
Exactly. When will we know? Well, I'll tell you when. Yeah, it's be nice. Let them know. It's like, hey, you're my bro and everything, but I don't think that you're into this game right now. Is there are you not feeling this game? Are you not feeling this character? Do you want to try a different character? Do you want to re-roll a character? If not, if you're just going to be this way, it might be best for you to take a break. Come back when you're feeling it. I mean, I won't kick somebody out of my game group forever. I'm not going to do that. But if we're playing a certain game and everybody except one person is loving the game and they're getting into the game and they're having fun, then I'm not going to let one person disrupt the other five.
Mm-hmm.
What about the opposite end of the spectrum?
What, somebody's too nice that you get sick and have to get rid of them?
No. Bad DM. Playing favorites or obviously,
I just quit showing up to
I
the
just
game.
leave the game. Yeah, I just say thanks for having me, but I'm out.
I'd be like, something's come up where I can't make it to the game every week. I had fun, but it's just life.
It's not even necessarily a case of a bad DM where I'll leave. It's if I'm just not enjoying the game. I was in a game last year that I loved the group. The people were great. Some of them were friends, but the game was just boring as sin.
It's like my brother's game. Everybody knows I love to play with my brother. But right now they're playing Vampire the Masquerade. I have zero interest in Vampire the Masquerade. Zero interest. I don't want to play it. I could play with them on, video every week if I wanted to, or I got that little car now with the great gas launch. I could drive the hour to the house, crash at my brother's house, and play the game. I'm not interested. So I love the group. Yeah. I love the person who's running the game. Yeah. I'm not interested in the game, so I'm not going to show up to that game.
And that's fair. That's exactly it. If I've been invited to a session, I'll see the session through unless it's really bad or they're abrasive or whatever. But if I'm not having a good time or like the DM, it's like, all right, well, thank you for having me, but I'm going to bow out. And I hope for the same courtesy. I usually get the same courtesy. I run the games I want to run, but they're not for everybody's taste.
Right.
And it's like, well, thanks for coming. Thanks for sitting in, trying my game. You're welcome to come back. So long as, you've been courteous, as long as you've been kind. I don't get offended if you don't like the way I run my games.
Right. I think that's a big issue with some people that, you how can you not like this, whatever, whether it be the system or the setting. Not everything's for everybody. Last night's Exalted game with Baron, it's no surprise. I'm like, this doesn't really sound like, it's for me, but I'm going to give it a try. I'll give it a fair shake because I can't really judge it until I've been there. And even one time isn't really a fair shake either. I've been in games where, you know, I didn't like the system, didn't like anything about it, but then played the same system with other people, and it was just
And you
fine.
loved it. Yeah.
Right. You know, and with the Exalted game, you know, I was like, I don't really think this is going to be my cup of tea. Give it a fair shake. Had a lot of fun. And, you know, you're on the right path when your biggest complaint is that it was too short.
I get that complaint in life all the time.
I meant the game.
Come on, I had to. I had to.
I try to keep my channel clean, so I'm going to refrain from any spicy comments.
Yeah.
Well, you're on my channel, so you can be as spicy as you want to, Sean.
Oh, it's still brand representation.
Yeah.
True.
The same, my son and I, we try to keep it clean and apolitical, but that's pretty much getting harder and harder to do every day as my son gets more and more and more involved in politics in the real world. And
I'm more PG-13 than I am
military.
R. And I'm going to tell you what I think about politics and people talking about politics a lot. If they want to do that on their channel, that's cool. It's their channel. Me, I'm not running for any political office. So I'm not going to talk about political stuff. Now, when I start running for a political office and put all of you people who disagree with me against the wall, then I'll start talking about political stuff.
Believe it or not,
I'm here to have fun.
That is my son's actual intention, is to already at 14, he wants to get into politics.
You know what? If he lives in the area and I'm still alive, I vote for the kid because Jackie's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's got a long road ahead of him, and we'll see where it goes. For him to go anywhere, he's got to do college, and lately college is not really a thing I would recommend.
Mr. Max Bowman, how you doing, my brother from another mother?
Yeah, you know what? If you guys have not checked out his guy's channel, he's going to pass us all up if we're not careful. So go out there and subscribe anyways, because if he does, he deserves it. If he doesn't, then we need to try harder getting him more viewers, more subs, more friends.
Yeah, if you want to follow a big blonde Viking, I would recommend following Max.
Took me 5 months to get to where he is now. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous at all.
Oh, your channel's doing great. What are you talking about, man? Your channel is one of my absolute favorite channels out there, to be honest. Just because it's so much different than everybody else's channel. To be honest, you have one of the most original.
Shadow, I love your channel. I watch your stuff. It's great. Shadow, I watch your stuff all the time. I watch my brother's stuff. I'm usually the first person to comment. None of you three, unfortunately, are my favorite channel. If I had to pick a favorite channel, it would have to be the Dungeon Minister.
Fair enough.
I love the Dungeon Minister because it is super wholesome, and he's just such a great storyteller. I mean, he's a preacher, so he can give a sermon.
Yeah.
So when he's telling
the sermon of Dungeons and Dragons, amen.
Yeah,
not a problem with that. Not a problem with that at all. I just his videos don't seem to come up on my feed for some reason. I have to go look them up every once in a while, and I'm like,
I think YouTube might be trying to shadow ban him. YouTube might be trying to shadow ban him a little bit, but it'd be like that.
I can't imagine why. When we started our channel, we had the big old American flag in the background. If you guys have ever watched our first year, every day at the dinner table with the American flag, and it took us forever just to get to 170 subscribers, and then we moved up to the studio and did things a little differently and started hanging out with you guys, and things just instantly changed. And I don't know if it was because we were we had a different background, or if it was because of all the interactions. I like to think it's more of the latter than the former, but
well, I think it's a part of it. There's a cross-pollination between the other channels you've been participating with as well. So
yeah, that's what I meant. Because Cal Banoni, you guys all know him.
Yep.
He and Grim, two of our oldest friends, out there in TV land, started recommending you guys, and as soon as we started, actually interacting with other channels, that's when we just kind of took off to where we are now, because we had just been just me and my son just doing our thing with completely oblivious to the rest of the world, watching videos and leaving comments. But Biggest Geekus was the first channel to have me on as a guest, and what did we talk about? Evil campaigns. And from that moment on, it just snowballed into now we're hanging out with the absolute best gamers I've ever known. I know my friends don't actually watch the channel, so they're never going to hear it, but they're kind of a certain level gamers, you know what I mean? They don't watch YouTube, they don't interact outside of the meetings we have together. When it comes to the gaming world, they don't go to the shops, they just, their level is stagnated, it's stuck at this point, and it's not going to develop any further, no matter how hard I try. But then with the people that like you guys have actually been dungeon masters. My players have never dungeon mastered, never even dreamed of it. Some of them don't even own copies of the books. They just have their characters and show up, and that's it. But everybody we know and talk with on YouTube and elsewhere, they're all DMs. They're looking for that greater experience within the hobby, I guess. I hate to use like tiers and things like that, but most of us are a cut above the average player or DM.
Max, I put the link out there if you want to jump in here and see your big Canuck self.
Yeah, of course.
Come on, Max. Let's even the balance here.
Yeah.
We got you. We got your Canuck brother outnumbered.
Hey, you guys aren't careful. We're gonna have to come over there and steal your cheese or something. I don't know. Or is it the other way around? You guys steal
you're on
cheese.
camera.
We do have
Mr.
wonderful
Max.
cheese.
Oh, I know. And my dog, I swear to God, that dog will be sleeping in a completely different floor of the house. If I unwrap a cheese wrapper inside, like a shot, he's there. Like of course he's not supposed to have it, but he can hear that wrapper better than he can hear, a burglar, sneaking in the back door.
Yeah, dogs are funny that way. Food, they're there.
And then just the look he gives me when I'm eating, just like absolute epitome of sadness. Just I don't know how he does it. Oh, sorry, bud.
So why do you put working in quotations? You are quote unquote
Yes,
working.
some of us working all the time, but we don't actually work. That's me.
Or is he working out and he's all hot and sweaty, or is he working out?
If he's all hot and sweaty, I definitely want him to come on for all the female followers I've got. My female subs will be like, I gotta watch Hungar all the time.
Flex the biceps. Yeah, see, I've got the expanding midsection, but still got the spindly arms and legs of my youth, so it's not a good look.
So fun news, I get to spend the night here.
Ah, shit.
Oh.
Excuse my French.
Not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal. My blood works a little wonky, What the hell?
Well, you can spend the night. Are you guys going to join me tomorrow night while we talk about psionics?
I always do, because I've got a lot to say about psionics. Keep that shit away from my table.
I'm out in the evening, but you're in different time zones, so I might pop in when I get back home, because I think you start at 9 your time.
Yeah.
No, I'll probably be starting 6:30 my time.
Okay, so it's 9:30 my time. So I should be home before midnight.
Sean, you're standard Eastern, right?
Yeah.
Like normal time zone.
Yeah, normal time zone.
Not like weird time.
Tell that to Geek.
There's no such thing except for like Arizona that doesn't have one, I think.
Well,
Oh,
Hungar and I are in
yeah.
the same time zone, so for us it's normal.
Yeah, Arizona, they don't follow that daylight savings time BS. They're like, whatever.
Well, just a quick reminder. I do want to, when we talk about psionics, I want to find ways to bridge the gap between the haters and the people who enjoy it, because I think there's a lot of aspects of psionics that people overlook. And just a quick example. Do you guys ever use anything like Sixth Sense or Danger Sense?
Psionics in D&D, I'm only now starting to slowly filter into my games. I've always kept them out. To me, they were never part of the fantasy milieu. But yeah, when I ran Rifts, so of course, psionics are part of the setting.
Right.
So
Well, just because I do a paranormal UFO show with a friend of mine on Saturday nights after the Shadow Chat, and since I've studied this stuff for almost all my life, there are some things that for me count as like low grade psionics, like really low level, even empathy. Okay, I consider that a psionic thing more than magical. Sure, you can emulate it through magic, but there are things like that that people use in like fantasy games, but just attribute it to like a skill or something. But you see where I'm going with this? It can't actually be considered, the equivalent of a low grade psychic ability. Just throw away the word psychic if that, start your head going in the wrong direction. Some things that people have, whether
In
real
my
life
fantasy,
or
in my fantasy, I run magic. In my science fiction, I will sometimes allow psionics, but not often.
Well, I'm
And
going to bring up
more like a river tam type of psionic, not where you can make somebody's head explode and stuff like that, but you just get feelings.
right.
And a lot of those things actually, especially if you talk to guys in the military, they have that sixth sense that oh shit, something bad's gonna happen. What's that?
Oh, yeah.
Is that not that's psychic? Okay, you can try and explain it some other way, but it's still the same thing. It's still something that we can't explain, and that's really, in my opinion, what it really boils down to. Mental abilities that you can't explain or that you can't normally like train. How do you train yourself to be more aware of getting into a bad situation, other than putting yourself in bad situations over and over and over again? You do that, you're not going to really have time to do anything else but recover from those bad situations. So I've got a huge list of things that people take for granted that we're going to talk about, as well as ways to sort of open people's minds up to the possibility of being able to use them. There are a lot of fantasy novels that actually talk about things like that without making it the full-on psionics. And there was one series of books, I think the Darkover books by what the heck was her name? Marion Zimmer Bradley, I think, where it was kind of a fantasy situation with psionics, and it was one of the books that allowed me to be able to find a way to integrate it into a game. Because I mean, think about like that weird cult off in the distance, where they do that. Even monks from first edition had some things that I would attribute to being kind of psychic abilities.
They can mask ESP, plus their ability to sort of center their ki and speak with animals. That could arguably be psionic, yeah.
And then like for fantasy situations, if you pay attention to the monster manuals, especially the Monster Manual 2 and the Fiend Folio, where they actually talk about the psionic things, and people just gloss that over. And if you go into the rules, like that psionic blast that many creatures have, that could just mess up a party, before the party even is aware of what's going on. Just blast.
That's why
Everybody's
mind
moving along.
flayers are so feared.
And nobody ever uses it.
Yeah, I use mind flayers and they have psionics, but everybody else they can have magic. Mind
Yeah,
flayers are awesome.
I am filtering in to my first ed game psionics. Like I've gone over the rules. I haven't used them at all because for me it just like you say, Hungar. Fantasy I keep it separate. Sci-fi is different, but I was reading them over. It's like, this could be a fun little addition. They're rare enough that
Exactly.
it's not going to come up.
And they're not from the plane anyway. They're from their own little area, so they're like more aliens than monsters.
Yeah,
and if you look at like demons and their actual psychic abilities, it's a big difference as to what they can do instead of just trying to slug it out after they've used their 2 or 3 magical abilities a day, and now they're trying to slug it out. No, before you even get to those once or 2 or 3 times a day magical abilities, they blasted the party into submission or hypnotism or domination or whatever you want to throw at them. It's just so all overlooked and underused.
I was looking at what was it? Not only the rarity, but like the ability, okay, because the rolls you got to get to get the psionics, the powers that you get, you can really get shafted. Like you can get minimal points, so you can only use a couple of little abilities. But the thing about psionics is the danger of using them too.
I was just getting ready to ask you that. Do you have it where it can backfire on the player if they use
it? Can backfire, but you can also attract psionic creatures, and there's a section of the DMG specific to that. And the fun thing about that is psionic like ability. So even magical spells, the wizard casting ESP a little too liberally could attract a thought eater, and you don't want one of those things coming after you. So all the more fun, just
especially when you're asleep. Yeah, that freaking thought eater come out. Yeah, you wake up to a brain with 4 legs trying to eat your face.
Oh no, that's the intellect devourer. I'm talking about the thought eater. They're those weird ethereal duck-like creatures that drain your intellect.
Yeah.
And unless you have a way to see into the astral plane or the ethereal plane, you can't hurt them, but they can hurt you. So it's like, they munch on your intellect. You lose a point of intellect per attack or something crazy like that. It's a death sentence, essentially. I can see players crying foul already.
Yeah,
I see players calling.
That image is one of the most iconic, ridiculous images in all of the original books. It's just like, what? Why would it have a beak, let alone a duck bill? It's just like,
okay, explain the platypus.
Well, because of its environment, the duck bill comes into play with eating and cleaning itself and things like that.
An egg-laying duck-billed mammal marsupial thing that produces milk and is
and lays eggs.
There's no explaining platypus. It's just nature's
No. Yeah, exactly. But with the thought eater, I always pictured it more of the Phantom Stalker or something like that would make more sense for its physical appearance. I think it was just kind of it's the last piece of artwork we haven't used, and the book needs to go out tomorrow.
Yeah, here, put this in. Evil platypus from hell. Yeah, I've been very cold to the idea of psionics for many years, and I think this could be a fun addition. So I'm weaving it into the story. I'm not just dumping it and saying, "Hey, psionics are now allowed." They've been.
I have a question.
The idea of the cult, as a great way to introduce it. Off in the mountains or whatever, there's this group of mystics, and that's their gig. They're training in psychic abilities. And maybe they're not actually even the bad guys.
Okay, here's a good question for you guys. Why do you think about letting players play races that have innate magical abilities? Do you let them keep the innate magical abilities?
Well, I only allow PHB races, so whatever's in the book there is cool.
Yeah, but in the later PHPs, they got freaking everything. You can play.
Well, it depends on the system.
Or
Yeah, you can play a Gift Yankee now if you want to, which I think is just asinine.
Yeah, no. I like, even when I run fifth ed, I only allow core PHB options. I don't allow any of the expansions. And core
Okay.
fifth ed is so expansive; they have ridiculous options. So
Okay, you're playing where you're allowing all the races. Are you going to let them have their innate and magical abilities?
yeah, if I'm allowing a race, I'm allowing whatever they come with. But
Yeah, yeah, same here. You know, because I do use the Unearthed Arcana. It's one of my favorite books, not just because of, you know, some of the things that are in it, you know, for players, but the new magic items and the armors and to me, it's not a bad book. I know the Barbarian and a couple other things get a really bad rap, but you know what? I never really had a problem with it. If a race has a magical ability in one of those two books, they get it. That's fine. It's, you know, to be honest, it's not that big a deal.
How do you feel about race specific classes?
I think they should, in fact, actually exist.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea. Okay, here, let me put it this way. I can see every race having some professions that nobody else can be. Okay, but some of uh, the restrictions on non-humans, I find kind of they don't make sense to me. Where like dwarves having a fighter limit, that doesn't make sense to me. Elves having a magic user limit
I play Dwarven
doesn't make
clerics
sense.
all the time.
Right. Because at least the four core groups, every race should have access to them. You know, if you want to limit them, I get it that halflings could never be, you know, a 12th level fighter unless, you know, extenuating circumstances.
I don't
But
do the level restriction on demi-humans. I've never been a big fan of that. But sometimes, like, you're not going to have a half-orc pally.
sure.
You're not going to have a half-orc pally. So you're not. I mean, there's some classes that some of the demi-humans aren't going to be able to play. It's just how, like, if a dwarf wants to be a cleric, a dwarf can be a cleric. He's not going to be a mage because their innate magic resistance, they're not going to be a mage. That doesn't mean that if he's got a high enough crafting skill or weaponsmithing skill, he's not going to be able to make magical weapons. Because I had a like 10th level dwarven fighter who like spent a lot of points in, you know, blacksmith stuff. And
Especially when you think
I
about
made a magical foot. One of our player characters in the game got his foot bit off by a troll. So I made a silver foot that was articulate, and that was his foot from then on out. You know, and I had to do a lot of rolls, and it took a bit of game time to do. But you know, I'm more free with letting players level up as high as they want to, depending on what race they are, because I
well,
don't
they got
understand
to earn the
why.
XP to begin with. That alone right there is half the battle.
I don't understand though. Me personally, I don't understand how a dwarf who lives twice as long as a human can't get the same level as a human, or an elf who pretty much has a lifespan of we don't know how long can't
Thousands of
level
years.
up. I mean,
that's
they should
that's
be
the
able-
common argument. Yeah, it makes total sense. I use the limits, and I'll tell you what I mean. I justify the limit in game in context of the world.
Well,
Um,
it's your game. If you could justify it for your game in your world, I
Well,
have
You
no
exactly.
issue.
pull out the book and go boom. That's the rules. But
I like the limits because the races are top loaded with some very strong abilities. Particularly elves and halflings, their stealth ability will is a game changer, and players will gladly take those limitations to get those stealth abilities.
Yeah.
And I mean, contextually, I play in a way that the lore of the world of all the games I create, humans were the first race, right? They were the first,
yeah, I played
and
the exact
all the others were attempts to copy the humans, the gods' attempts to copy this miraculous species, right? So that's why they're always limited. So the brains of the non-humans, they're not as developed because humans evolved, whereas the other races were created. This is the lore of the world I've created, right?
Okay, that would make perfect sense.
So yeah, so humans have this ability to continually adapt and develop, whereas the other races, the gods couldn't figure out how to replicate it. So that's why they come to their caps. It's a silly little explanation, but for me it works. But from a pure game perspective, it's like, yeah, okay. So as a player, you want to be an elven fighter? Great, you're capped at level 5. You get the by the book, of course, expansions if you have high strength or whatever. I mean, I do like the Unearthed Arcana rule where you get 2 levels if you're single class in a race that can multi-class. So I do apply that as well. But the player knows, okay, I'm an elven fighter. I'm going only to level 5 unless I can get my strength up. But this stealth ability combined with the bow fire, and remember in first ed you can triple your rate of fire for missile fire if you have surprise. That is a lethal ability.
Yeah.
So from a game perspective,
how do you handle the okay, for example, you need to be like 16th level magic user to cast a permanency, right?
Yeah, it's an 8th level spell. Yeah.
Okay. How do you explain magic items, racial magic items like the dwarven thrower or things like that, or elven cloak and boots, without being able to attain the magic levels high enough to get there?
Well, that's only for wizards. Priests can create magic items as well, and the items imbued by the god.
Yeah, like when a dwarf creates a magical weapon, it's his skill and his ability to put part of himself into that magical item. So it's not, they're not casting a permanency. Yeah, they're not casting a permanency spell on that to make it where it's magical. They're using their crafting knowledge, and because dwarves are automatically crafters. When the gods made dwarves, they made them where they were.
For me, there would literally have to be some magic element in a dwarven magic weapon to be able to hit creatures that are only hit by magic weapons. Just saying that they just have a magical ability to create magic weapons, because all the weapon rules they specifically say they're not magical. They may get the pluses, but then if a dwarven cleric were to take it off to the shrine and then pray on it, then it would then be technically magical. So that's how I would work it.
In my world,
the majority of weapons would have been created through divine means.
And my
permanency is how wizards do
magic weapon. It's magic. That's how I explain it. Dwarves are that good that they can use their power, use their skill and do it at the right time of the year with the right moon on the right time of day and all of this stuff. Huh?
I said that sounds like magic.
Yeah, but it's not magic, but it is magic.
The other thing to consider, at least for first ed, for modern editions, all the rules are sort of universal and they apply to everything. But the old school, the rules are simply meant as a guideline for players to interact with the world. Anything beyond that was DM fiat, right? I could say, okay, well, there's a class of dwarven smiths who craft the weapons with the blessing of Clan Geddon. There's no rule for it. It's simply part of the lore. Players can't take that option. It's not a mechanic. It's just, this is how that stuff exists. Whereas in every modern game, it's like, no, we have to explain everything. Everything has to have a mechanical justification so that players can possibly do it too. It's like, no, you don't need that. With the permanency spell was the player character wizard's way to make magic items. And it comes with the penalty. And likewise, clerics can make magic items just the same, but they have to pray to the god, and it's the god that imbues the weapon with its enchantment. So there's no permanency spell needed. They simply have to meet the other requirements.
Yeah, like a Holy Avenger sword is going to be a god-blessed sword. It's not going to be a straight-up magic weapon. It's going to be blessed by the god.
Right.
It's a holy weapon. A dwarven thrower is going to be made by these dwarven smiths who got their shit together.
Mm-hmm.
What they're doing. That's just the way it is. And when people want a deep exclamation, or when they want me to go into great detail on how it was made and stuff, I'm just like, that's the way it is.
Yeah. Those are dwarven secrets. They don't get just handed out to player characters.
That stuff, deep under the mountain stuff. You You're not a dwarf. You don't get to know that.
Yeah, all the ignorant player who came up from a peasant background needs is that, oh, well, the dwarves were able to craft this stuff and it's right in front of you. Do you want to use it or not? Do you want to use it or do you want to question its origin?
Speaking of the peasant player, I really like starting out as a human. If I play a human fighter, his background is always peasant and his main weapon is always spear and short sword, because those are two weapons that a peasant would have a better chance of having over like an arming sword or a rapier, something like that. Peasant, how often does a peasant go see a rapier or
Slings are good.
slings? But a peasant's going to have a spear because it's a pointy thing on the end of a stick.
Yeah,
You know?
easily manufactured. Yeah,
And short swords are a lot easier to come by than, long swords. Or
even an acquisition of a short sword for a peasant would be like, wow, I got a sword.
Yeah, it'd be something that was handed down from the family.
Or a spoil of victory in battle. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I play a human fighter, I like to start them off as a peasant. And the reason they're a human fighter now, not a peasant, is because they got tired of looking at the soft side of a mule.
So you become an adventurer
I
where you
become
have
an
to hire a pack mule to carry your stuff, and then you're traveling behind it. It's like, no!
I become an adventurer so I don't have to be a farmer. Yeah, and that's like,
You know what, Hungar? You need to get a copy of our friend Grimm's book, Arn of Clayhaven. You will absolutely love it. One of our gamer friends, Grim to say, wrote a novel, part 1. You will absolutely love it. Everything you just mentioned is in that book already, and it is a wonderfully charming book. If you guys haven't found it, I'll throw it up in my Discord page or somewhere else. But it's Arn of Clayhaven, and it's on Amazon Books. And I can't wait till book 2 comes out. It was really one of the most charming books I've ever read. About a peasant boy, orphan, cleaning the stables, and next thing you know, he's up to here and adventure.
you know what? I like that. I will be done at the table as it is in the game. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt, Max.
Along with your Hungar logo of you standing over the barbarian woman.
That's right. That's right. That is an awesome thing. I've already copied it and put it in a folder in my computer. Gotta stay.
By the way, Shadow, about 20 minutes ago, I sent you a copy of that character sheet on Discord.
Oh, awesome. I didn't see the notification, but I will go check it out. Find a way to print it out because.
Do you remember those Goldenrod AD&D character sheets from the 80s?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, basically what I did is I took key sections from those and reassembled them, only the useful sections, because those were overloaded with a lot of unnecessary fields.
It was so nice when they came out with copyable character sheets instead of writing everything down on notebook paper.
Yeah. And it's funny too, if you go looking for them on like eBay for originals, they're still crazy priced.
Oh, I know.
I can't imagine going, my collection would only be complete if I had an entire packet of character sheets from 19. You know what? I'm a mega collector, but that's just a little bit too far for me. I just don't get it.
I'm an anti-collector.
I have a lot of old stuff I've been carrying around since I was, 8 years old. My oldest comic book is actually older than me. I picked it up at a swap meet, when I first learned that comic books needed to be bagged and boarded and that they went up in value. It cost me like 15 cents, but it's from 1964 and Avengers. I'm a collector. My dad was a gun collector, and it must be in the genes because I collect all kinds of crap.
Yeah, my first oldest comic book was the first appearance of Namor.
Ooh, that's a.
I traded that for a statue of from Return of the Jedi, the one where Luke and Vader are fighting on the steps. I got like this. It's plastic, but it looks like pewter that lights up underneath, where it's got the blue light under Luke, and it's got the red light under Vader, and it's got the big stand and everything. I traded that comic for that statue so I could give that statue to my mother on Mother's Day like 25 years ago.
Wow.
What's the temperature where you're at, Shadow?
It's about 60 degrees.
Yeah, it's 81 here.
Wow, I cannot wait.
You people with your Fahrenheit. It's 4 degrees here.
When it gets into the 90s, I'm actually a very happy camper.
I'm
we'll
going
get
to be
to 115 here, but you know,
when I
maybe
get over to the Philippines, Sean, I'm going to be using that stupid Celsius metric crap.
I'm a mix. I mix up metric and imperial all the time. The one thing I can't get my head around is the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversions. I cannot, for the life of me, remember them. Anything else, miles to kilometers, no problem. Feet to millimeters, centimeters, no problem.
Yeah.
But Fahrenheit to Celsius, give it the big middle finger.
Yeah, meters don't bother me that much because I know it's like a little over 3 feet. So if somebody's doing
a meter and yard are very similar.
Yeah, if somebody's doing a 10-meter dive, I know that they're, those chicks are diving off of a 30+ foot freaking platform, and that's super impressive.
Yeah, just climbing up that to begin with is impressive. Then jumping down into water. Yeah.
I'm in Florida, the land of hot and humid. We got like 100%. It's the middle of winter and it's 81 degrees and like 90% humidity. That does not bother.
What is this humidity you speak of? All we get is hot or cold and dry. I'm in the high desert. I mean, I can literally touch clouds from time to time.
I like the desert.
I do too. I really do. That's why I'm thinking of Texas as my next base of operations.
I love Texas. God bless Texas. Texas is fun. I spent a lot of time in Laredo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just gotta last at least the current school year for my son, and maybe we'll think about it, or I'm gonna have to wait until he goes into the military, and then he can find me when he gets out, or when he gets leave, because California is just too expensive and too.
Shadow, all the leaves are brown.
Pardon?
All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. Before a walk on a winter's day.
Somebody's California dreaming.
I'd be safe and warm and probably shot in LA.
I've traveled all over the place, and I keep coming back here. The last time was, many years ago, from other places, and since then it's been like, let's just say 20 years. It has changed so much in every conceivable way that I don't even recognize the place. Going into LA or Orange County, where I used to spend a lot of time.
LA? Yeah, I'm staying out of LA.
It's too ugly, dirty, dangerous, and
San Francisco used to be a beautiful city.
It used to be the most beautiful city in the world, according to some, and now it's the exact opposite.
You got people pooping on the sidewalks.
I've been to third world countries that are cleaner and nicer, more friendly, and more enjoyable and healthier than either Los Angeles or San Francisco.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to San Francisco years ago. It was beautiful. And now, the last time I went to San Francisco, I was like, ugh. What happened to this place? It used to be gorgeous, and now it's just like a modern hellscape.
Yeah,
I just want to live somewhere on in a Southeast Asia.
South Pacific. Yeah, you know what?
Near the freaking beach.
Yeah, I've actually, since Hungar mentioned the the prices and things like that in the Philippines. I've been watching some travel logs and videos on it. Yeah, it does look like you know a viable option for retirement. Let's just say. Cheap, clean, laid back. Right, Max. I can't even picture going there either, just because I would get in trouble, just because of having a conversation. Now apparently you can get arrested for saying the wrong thing. I don't understand how that's you know gonna lead to anything other than now you're thinking the wrong thing. You must be imprisoned and re-educated. No thanks.
Big Brother is listening to your thoughts, and so that brings us back to psionics, I guess.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, psionics.
I'm looking forward to it because nobody wants to, touch on it. Even in the sci-fi community, most people don't want to, allow it in their game. And I'm like, so it's science fiction without the most science fiction-y parts of it. And considering, how much money our own governments have actually spent into researching the potential and weirdness therein, to me, it just seems like a no-brainer. You see what I did there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like anything thematic. It's got its place in the stories. I loved using psionics when I played sci-fi games back in the day. I mean, I kind of went full on D&D. I haven't gone back, but yeah, when I ran Rifts, I ran a long-term Rifts campaign, and people loved playing the psionic characters, the powerful characters.
Yep.
Even Heroes Unlimited. I was heavily into Heroes Unlimited as a kid, and yeah,
Me too. I love that game. That's literally one of my favorite games of all times. But so is Villains and Vigilantes, where your characters are more powers, but less emphasis on the skill parts of the rules, which was a shame. Had they mixed the two, you'd be playing, literally like Superman or Green Lantern level powers, which I had a lot of fun playing. But it just there have been so many great psionic characters throughout the decades of fiction and fantasy.
I've always been, and some people have called me soft about this, but if somebody can give me a really, really good reason why they want to play this character, why they want this character to have these certain things, if they've got a really good story, backstory, and everything, I'll let them do it.
Summed up into a paragraph, right?
No, I don't. Yeah, paragraph. I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
Don't present me a novel and expect me to read it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if they can give me an elevator speech about why their character can do this, why they want to play this race, why they want to play this race class ability.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way to explain it. And as mankind evolves, I think we're going to see, more and more things that can only be explained like that. Whether it be,
pale skin,
whether it be, actual just skill. There are musicians out there that are just, crazy good from.
Look at that Phelps kid,
early.
The swimmer, Phelps, Michael Phelps. Look at that dude who won all the gold medals. That dude's not a normal human. He's tall, he's thin, he's got super long hands and feet.
Right. His mom was a mermaid.
We're going through this type of stuff already. They always say that humans adapt for their environment, and you see it every day. Like, geez, It's a strange, beautiful world we live in, full of awesome things.
It truly is.
My new favorite saying is everybody dies, but not everybody lives. You know,
Yep. Yep.
that's
Well,
that's the way
I,
it is.
I've, over the past year met some incredible people that, I never would have thought, where I live, I have yet to meet a gamer. I've been here going on 12 years. I have yet to meet a gamer, just in my day-to-day travels and stuff. But on the internet, I've met the best of the best. And each and every one of them that I associate with regularly has a completely different outlook than the normal people I bump into. It's literally amazing.
Humanity will surprise you, I guess.
Humanity is a beautiful thing, man. It's
Or
like,
terrify you,
yeah, it's beautiful but terrifying. I will
Yeah,
say that.
just stay away from TikTok unless you want to have nightmares.
Yeah,
Lately, I've been
they're
watching a
actually
guy.
talking about outlawing TikTok here in Florida.
I can see why, because it's a hellscape, a digital hellscape. I've been watching a YouTuber who makes fun of people on that particular platform, and I have seen things. I grew up in the '80s, and I saw some wackadoos out there, and some strange cultural phenomenon. But they literally pumped it up to like 15 and broke off the knob. I'm just like, how did I get so lucky with my kid not being one of those? It could have, really gone a completely different way, but I got a good kid, and it gives me hope that there's more kids out there that are,
Wait, I'm missing something. You have a kid?
yeah.
Shadow and Sun show has a kid.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I'm going to do when he's off to the military. I refuse to change the name, but I could see doing 30 episodes in a row with no son, and people are like new to the channel or whatever. Years from now, it's like, who's this Sun guy? What are you talking about? Like, well, once upon a time,
Just change it as needed when he's gone and not regularly part of the show. Just you're the Shadow Show, or rebrand, and then when he's back, you're Shadow and Sun again.
Nope. Not going to do it. Not going to do it because it was his idea. During the thing that happened a couple years ago.
Then you're the Shadow. You're the Sun's dad show. Shadow the dad show.
Nope, it was his idea to make a channel. He 3 years old. He's like, he wanted to be a YouTuber, and now he doesn't have time for it because he's too damn busy. To make a 15-minute video, it takes an hour and a half to get him ready.
So you said he's 14?
Yeah, he's 14 now.
So YouTube has always been a thing for his entire life.
Yep.
Yeah. Ow. I keep thinking, well, my niece, the internet's always been a thing for her. She's almost 30. And
oh, absolutely, Mr. Max. That we will do that. We will have many, because I want regular updates. Just because he's off, marching and doing all that stuff. I expect at least a video with him a week. I get it. Monday through Friday and stuff. He's gonna be busy, and I don't want to get in the way of that in any way, shape, or form. Want him to do his best. He's already the best in his entire school. He's the the best of the best of the best, sir. When it comes to that whole routine, I don't want to interfere in that whatsoever. But I know there's going to be people who really enjoy his presence that are going to want to see how he's doing, and cheer him on. Let's see where this kid could go from being like 11 or 12 when he started. They're going to get to watch him grow up and see what a fine young man he's not only turning into but will eventually become. And maybe when he's done doing all that, decades from now, he'll take over the channel, and it'll be him and his son. If he wants to change the name of the channel, then I get it. But we'll always have those old videos to look back on. When he was just a little squeaker, all shy and nervous and things like that, to where now he's just like, giving his old man, a ration of, stuff, to him, going full circle, with his own kid someday. That would be, just a dream come true.
I'm like the
Something
crafting gamer right here. It's like I had that 10% chance of waking up from the coma, and I woke up, and I'm still kicking ass, taking
Crafting
names.
Gamer has a healing factor.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a psychic power, dude. You've got one, okay? Embrace it. Who knows what else that could lead to? Maybe you could be lifting stuff with your mind, or setting stuff on fire. Just don't set stuff on fire.
I can
But
set
you
stuff
never
on
know.
fire. All I need is a pack of matches.
I've seen some crazy stuff in my journeys, delving into, the paranormal and things like that. So, there's a method to my madness when I talk about this stuff, because there's some pretty incredible people out there with some really unique talents. And, who knows, maybe, a couple generations from now, it'll be more prominent, although I sort of doubt it. Especially when, seeing things on TikTok.
Yeah. I actually created a TikTok account to promote my channel, but I haven't done anything with it. It's just sort of sitting there.
Yeah, it's funny. I made a Rumble account, and my videos are starting to upload there. And I've got like one view on each of my videos. And so that totals like 4 or 5, right? But I've got 10 likes. I'm like, how do they not understand how math works, or is there some factor in there I'm not getting? I really don't know why, other than as a backup place to store my videos and things like that, the benefit right now. But with some of my favorite YouTubers getting kicked off for reasons, I get it. But we'll just have to play it by ear and see where that takes us. Maybe we'll do videos specifically, exclusively for Rumble, so the little guy can talk religion and politics and not have to worry about upsetting the powers that be. I don't know.
I'm sure Rumble would appreciate a max exodus from YouTube. Turn them into the new YouTube.
Well, it's going to happen. It's the way of things. YouTube used to be a phenomenal place for everything, and now it's becoming something of an echo chamber in certain cases. We'll just have to see where it leads. I'd rather stay here on YouTube, but if they're going to clamp down tighter and tighter and enforce ways of thinking and speech, I just can't get on board with that.
Max is saying here, apparently they also censor. I haven't looked into them enough, but it's only a matter of time.
Everybody censors. Everybody censors, man. You got to think you're on somebody's platform. If you don't like, or if they don't like what you're doing, they're going to be like, nope, you're not allowed to do this. You're a bad boy. They're going to give you a spanking.
And most of us, we try to keep it relatively polite and courteous and things like that. But if you can't speak your mind, then there is no actual definition of the word truth anymore. It's just dogmatic adherence to a certain ideology, and that that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's never going to be a platform. There's never going to be a platform where you have true freedom of speech. It's just not going to happen. Because now, as just like normal citizens out in the world, where you live in places that say you have the right freedom of speech and stuff, you're still going to get censored with all the different types of movements going on. You know, you can't say this, you can't say that. You're going to offend this person. You're going to hurt this person's feelings. But that's hate speech. So even with freedom of speech, you're still censored.
Yeah, you know what though? If it wasn't for hate speech, we might all be speaking a different language, if you know what I mean. You have to be
Everybody's
able.
always going to be censored, and you just have to realize this and accept it for how
We
it
lost
is.
Shadow. We lost Shadow. It's just you and me.
Yeah.
I think he
He'll
cut
be
out.
back. But you know, that's just the way life is. You're going to get censored,
Mhm.
and if you can't realize that, then you're going to have a hard time with everything.
Oh, there's Shadow's forehead. There we are.
Yeah, sorry about that. My battery started dying, and I apparently hit the X button trying to move the device. So
Well, I think we're going to do about 15 more minutes because we're already at 1 hour and 46 minutes.
Yeah, it's long
yeah,
for you.
you know what?
That
It's
is
really
very
nice.
long for me.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad we got to hang out and chat.
I agree with you,
Agreed.
Max. You get the freedom that you're willing to sacrifice for. Me personally, I say what I want, when I want, where I want, how I want. I give zero fucks. Excuse my language, but you know that's just the way it is.
It's the way it should be. Without that, then there is literally no truth. You
Yeah, we have
know,
a constitutional right in America to say the F word.
right. There's a time and a place for everything, and that's not up to anybody but us and decorum and propriety to dictate, not corporations, not large groups of people that want to stifle opposition to their own profits or ideology or anything like that. Otherwise, we're all going to end up being the same.
I got a
don't know about
question.
you
Did
guys.
anybody catch that Holy Diver? Did anybody catch that Holy Diver show last night?
No.
No.
He was going off on Wizards of the Coast, man. And
Well,
he's
they
like,
kind of asked for it. They kind of,
Wizards can't
literally
open their mouths long enough to do anything other than exchange feet these days.
right. Well said.
yeah, he's got a pretty big sub list. I mean, he's been doing this for years.
Right. And I only recently heard about him. I don't even think I'm subscribed to him. I'm going to check right now and sub to him because I hear a lot of good things about him so far.
Yeah, some of the
I
stuff,
sub to everybody.
I don't agree with everything he says, but you're never going to agree with everything. It's very rare that you're going to agree with everything. Like DM James, my brother, he put out that video the other day where he was catching a lot of hate from people. And, that happens. I don't catch no hate yet, but, I don't do anything really salty. But I had to, post on his videos like the hate keeps you warm at night, man.
I put out a video where player characters die and I get hate for it. So yeah.
Yeah,
the things that will outrage people you can take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, he was talking about that. He did a video on that white people can't leave.
Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah.
Quick enough. And then he caught so much hate after it. And he's like, listen, I don't care if you hate me,
Yeah.
You're still watching my stuff.
Yeah, people.
I think I'm gonna have to get like a little salty, do a couple of salty videos and get me some of that hate. Because I'm like C. Thomas Howell. I'm like C. Thomas Howell from Red Dawn.
Get those rage subscriptions going.
Yeah, all that hate's gonna bring you up, kid.
Not falling into that trap, guys. I made a commitment a long time ago to be, a force for positivity everywhere we go, and
well, we're like the adventuring party. Everybody has their purpose, right?
And if you're not pissing at least one person off, you're doing something wrong.
Well, I'm married, so that's a guarantee. I don't have to even try. Just leaving the seat up is enough to ruin someone's day. So, there's that. But when it comes to, the thing I love the most, besides my family, obviously, and God, I'm gonna go with, just being positive. It's
Some people,
healthier.
some people's not happy unless they got something to bitch about, though.
I know, I know, I know. And we all fall into that trap every once in a while, or,
No,
more often
speak
than
for
not.
yourself.
But
I'm always chill. Come on, man. All the shit I go through. Do you ever see me in a bad mood?
no, but then I honestly, I have to wonder, when I don't hear from you after like 10 Discord messages, I'm like, oh crap, man. He's sitting there raging or bumming out, and then you come back and you're all, you know, sunshine and rainbows. I'm like, okay, okay.
I'm
All
playing
right.
video games and watching anime. That's what I do.
That's cool,
I
man. That's cool.
It's a rough
everybody
life. I don't know how you deal with it.
everybody always asks me like, "How you always in a good mood?" And I'm like, because bitching about shit you have no control over, being upset about stuff you have, like you're driving down the road, there's traffic, you have no control over that. Why get mad at it? It's like
Well, it depends
arguing
on what
with the
kind of
weather.
truck you're driving.
It depends on. It's like arguing. My saying is, I don't argue with the weather because you can try to argue with the weather, but it's going to either be sunny or it's going to be raining. We have no control over that. I do not let things that I have no control over affect me with my mood. I wake up in the morning, it's a great day. I woke up. That's not guaranteed for everybody. And it's really not guaranteed for me with everything wrong with me. There's
Every
going to
day
be a
above
day
ground
that
is a good day,
hunger.
man.
There's going to be a day that hunger just disappears, and you have to be bugging DM James like, "Where's Hungar?" Oh, bad news, guys. It's going to happen. So it's like I am
You got to
going
bum
to
us out right
enjoy.
before the end of the show, man. Seriously. See, am I right? Am I right? I dread that day every
Then he
morning.
goes on mute. He disappears and goes on mute.
My nerves came in. Yeah,
All of it.
it, it's gonna happen. Everybody, I know everybody's upset about it, but like I say, everybody dies, not everybody lives, man.
You know what, Hungar? I'm not really, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm not worried about it because I know we'll meet again.
I'm like Madonna. Don't cry for me, YouTube. Ah. But yeah, life is good, guys. Life is freaking awesome.
Really is. I'm 55. I've been retired, about 20 years now. Don't ask how. I made some, really wise investments with time and
Where's the
resources.
gold buried at, Shadow? Where did you bury the gold?
It's all over the place. To
I'm
be
going to talk
honest,
to my cute nurse. I'll be back in a minute.
it would take you a lifetime to find it all. But I have told my son that he doesn't get a dime until he's 18, so I better at least live the next, 4 years, or he doesn't get bupkis. So that keeps him from, trying to poison me or smother me with a pillow in my sleep. But yeah, it really is, interesting time to be alive and all that. But it is what you make of it. And if you go through life with a positive attitude, you'll just get more out of it. It's not something we should rage over every day and be bummed out about. There's things we could change. Go out and change them. Things you can't, let them slide. Teflon, all that good stuff. We're lucky that we have this freaking hobby. If you think about it, 50, 60 years ago, there was nothing like this. And now we get to, worry about hit dice and armor class and, all this, stuff that really doesn't amount to a hill of beans in the greater scheme of things. And yet here we
Hey,
are
we're
every
creating
day.
worlds.
Yeah.
Worlds
Kinda
that
like
people
that
want to
movie.
be a part of.
That movie, What Dreams May Come, has always been a huge inspiration to keep
It's
on.
the Robin Williams one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking.
I absolutely love that movie. And, like I said to Hungar, we'll meet again. We'll take turns meeting in, our various game worlds, literally brought to life if all things work out the way I think they do. Until then, I'm going to make a whole bunch of worlds and invite a whole bunch of people to come, adventure in them and see what they can make of them and, have fun, make memories that will, last as long as, possible.
That's about it. I had nothing to add to that. I mean, these role playing games have kept me going. Depressed, lonely teenager. Put upon, bullied. Oh, the lessons I could teach my younger self now. But they've been a constant. They've been a constant joy through everything.
Yeah, I mean the closest the kids in the old days had was cops and robbers and cowboys and Indians and
I played those too.
Absolutely.
Those are effectively role playing games.
That's exactly what they were. They the earliest beginnings of the hobby will invariably lead back to some boys and girls trying to rescue the princess in their backyard.
Yep, playing make believe is not new. Just doing it with structured and, as they say, math rocks, pens, papers, and math rocks.
Yep.
Sorry, shiny math rocks.
Right, or glow in the dark math rocks, or cheap, crappy plastic ones that chip every time you use them. Math rocks.
Yeah. It's the glow in the dark ones that always puzzle me, because how are you playing in the dark?
Believe it or not, my son and I played our first game of Call of Cthulhu 2 nights in a row at the dinner table with all the lights out. He picked some spooky music, and we had one little electric candle to barely light up the area, and only used I think his phone or something like that to focus in on the dice when dice rolls were needed. And it was one of the most enjoyable games I ever ran. Him as well, because we just got into by not being able to use your eyes, his imagination was much more vivid when picturing the scenes and the NPCs and even the monsters as we played. Of course, his mom looked at us like we were absolutely crazy, but it was actually a lot of fun, and I believe that's how you would go about using glow in the dark dice. Although back in the day, even though it wasn't quite the 60s, we played a lot of games with black lights and black light posters and things like that. So those would have been ideal for a situation like that,
but those are the exception. It makes me, it's just curious, is the demand for glow in the dark dice. It's like you still need some light to play.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny to me. I have a set. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's something that occurred to me. It's like, okay, I'm never going to be playing in the dark or a completely dark situation.
Nope.
And the charge of those things doesn't last anyway.
Yeah, but if you're playing a spooky game, you want it to be a little spooky.
A little.
Exactly.
I've done that with Ravenloft games.
I back when I was about 14, so this was 40 years ago, I found some dice at my local gaming hall, a bag of dice, and it included 2 blue D4 that glow in the dark, but they didn't glow green like everything else did back in the day. They actually glowed blue, a really neat neon blue, and I've never seen anything like that since then.
There, Max makes a good point. Every D4 should be glow in the dark so you don't step on them.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Or at least they should have the squared off end so that it's not like stepping on Legos or caltrops. And I really like the D4s where the numbers are at the top instead of at the bottom. Have you ever seen those?
Yep, I
really
both.
really like. But then again, I only have about 25 dice in my collection now that aren't like in the boxes that they came with. Like, someone says, "Well, you got more dice because you got dice in your game." Yeah, those don't count. They never come out of the boxes. They stay with the game that they came with. But my dice bag is, paltry, like 25 dice roughly, and I'm good with it. I used to have a big collection of dice, but over the years I've given them all out to new players and things like that, and I just never saw a need to have 50 pounds of dice.
I've got a lot, but I also provide for new players who don't have materials.
And dice are just awesome. Come on, man.
Sure. But I can only roll so many at a time, and unless I'm playing certain games where you need a lot of like D6s, I only need 2 percentile dice. That's it.
Mhm.
We're
not judging your dice habits, Shadow. We're
All
not
right,
judging you.
I was actually really lucky. I literally rolled 3 20s a couple of weekends ago on one of my dice, one of my D20, and now I've actually enshrined that one because I've never had that happen before in 40 plus years of dice rolling. Rolling one maybe. I can't even think of ever rolling 2 in a row. 2 of the same number in a row, let alone 20s. Not that it matters. It's the same odds. But I actually rolled 3 20s.
I think Hungar's trying to kick us off. He's got to go.
Yeah, we're getting ready to end it. It's been 2 hours.
Not a problem, man. Appreciate hanging out with you. Hopefully
Always.
we'll see you Monday, or actually, hopefully we'll see you Saturday night, and you'll be all rested up. And you too, Sean. I enjoy hanging out with you guys immensely. It's actually made my Friday morning really really special. So you guys have a great weekend.
Oh yeah, just trying to. Yeah, I've got to go. I've got to prep I've got OSE tonight. My Old School Essentials game resumes tonight.
OSE, that's the game to be.
Yeah,
Gerb, the Boat Paints Minis. You guys have a great weekend. Love you guys.
Well, everybody have a good night. Good to see you again. Thanks for watching my show. This is the Hungar and Shadow Show.
Like, subscribe, hit the buttons, and
follow everybody who's on the show. Follow everybody who's in the chat. Everybody follow each other and like everybody.
Before you cancel, if Crafting Gamer is still here, can you post your link to your channel? I went looking for it, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, the Crafting Gamer. Here, let's see if I can't find it.
Yeah, it's the capitals in the right spaces that makes the difference.
Because I found a Crafting Gamer channel had like almost 1 million subs. If that's him, then congratulations. But
let me see here, everybody, yeah, rock your body. There it is, fellas. Put it in the chat. I am subscribed to the Crafting Gamer. So yeah, he's got some videos up there pretty cool. And he's a good dude.
Especially if you like Robotech.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot of Palladium. He's got some Palladium stuff too. He's just a cool dude. Subscribe to him, man.
Agreed. That's why I keep shouting him out, man.
All right. Well, deuces, everybody. God bless. See ya on Shadow Show Saturday. And definitely see you guys Monday, God willing.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Or a good day, I guess, in some cases.
Shizzle.
Bye, guys.
Bye.